Good evening. Welcome to the University of Toledo College of Nursing Summer 2021 APRN White Coat Ceremony. My name is Kathleen Mitchell, Assistant Dean of Student Services for the College of Nursing. It is my pleasure to begin this evening's ceremony by first introducing Dr. Linda Lewandowski, Dean of the College of Nursing and Vice Provost for Health Affairs for Interprofessional and Community Partnerships, and Interim Inaugural Executive Director for University Campus Healthcare Services, Dr. Lewandowski.
Good evening and welcome to our virtual white coat ceremony of the University of Toledo College of Nursing for our advanced practice nursing students. As Dr. Mitchell noted, I have the honor and privilege of serving as the Dean of the College of Nursing, and this is always one of my exciting ceremonies that I look forward to. This is our very first white coat ceremony for our APRN students, and we're very excited to have all of you join us for this special event. Given the times in which we live, we must, of course, as our first priority, promote the health and safety of everyone. So we're not able to be together in a face-to-face mode this evening. We've not gathered as we might have in other times in an auditorium, but instead in homes and communities as family, staff, faculty, friends, significant others to join together to witness the ceremonial entrance into the advanced practice role for 65 of our APRN students who will begin their clinical rotations this summer, just in a couple weeks actually. I want to talk a little bit about APRNs for family and friends and people who may not totally understand what your loved ones and people that you're here to support are getting themselves into. Advanced practice registered nurses, or APRNs, include nurse practitioners, clinical nurse specialists, nurse anesthetists, and nurse midwives, and all play a very pivotal role in healthcare. This evening, we focus on the nurse practitioner role. Nurse practitioners provide primary, acute, and specialty health care across the lifespan through assessment, diagnosis, and treatment of illness and injuries. Nurse practitioners are educationally prepared to assume responsibility and accountability for health promotion and maintenance, as well as the assessment, diagnosis, and management of patient problems, which includes the use of prescription, pharmacologic, and non-pharmacologic interventions. NPs advise the public on health issues, they manage chronic diseases, and engage in continuous education to remain ahead of any technological, methodological, or other developments in their field. In addition to the initial nursing education and licensing initial nursing education, the licensing required for APRNs have expanded in numbers and capabilities over the past several decades, with APRNs being highly valued and an integral part. Okay, that didn't make sense because I skipped pages here because, oh gosh, they did it on both sides. I'm not used to doing both sides of the page, so I probably skipped that. Sorry. Let's go back to this page. In addition to the initial nursing education and licensing required for all registered nurses, APRNs hold a master's degree or a doctoral nursing practice degree. As of 2025, the DNP will be the required route of entry into the APRN role for all future nurses coming into that role. Nurse practitioner practice builds on the competencies of registered nurses by demonstrating a greater depth and breadth of knowledge, a greater synthesis of data, increased complexity of skills and interventions, and greater role autonomy. All APRNs are educationally prepared to provide a scope of services across the wellness and illness continuum to at least one population focus, as defined by nationally recognized role and population-focused competencies. Here at the U Toledo College of Nursing, we prepare family nurse practitioners, pediatric primary care nurse practitioners, adult gerontology primary nurse practitioners, adult gerontology acute care nurse practitioners. This is our newest program, just getting underway this semester as our first cohort, and students just coming into those clinicals this summer, and psychiatric mental health nurse practitioners. APRNs have expanded in numbers and capabilities over the past several decades, with APRNs being highly valued and an integral part of the healthcare system. Now it makes more sense. Numerous studies have demonstrated the effectiveness of nurses working in an APRN role. For example, a recent policy study by Newhouse and Associates concluded that the outcomes of care provided by APRNs in collaboration with specialists or primary care physicians are similar to, or in some cases better than, the outcomes of care provided by a physician alone. Similarly, a publication from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation asserts that health outcomes are comparable for patients treated by primary care NPs and MDs. So we know from a lot of quality studies the great kind of care that our nurse practitioners are providing to various populations. So today marks a symbolic beginning. The white coat ceremony has served as a rite of passage into one's profession for several healthcare professions, and in recent years, nursing has adopted the ceremony. Now, the white coat ceremony also signifies the passage from RN practice into the APRN role, and that's what we're celebrating here this evening. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our speaker for this evening to let us know a lot more about APRN role, Dr. Karen Bauer, who's a wonderful role model for what APRNs can contribute. Dr. Karen Bauer is a wound certified nurse practitioner. She graduated with an MA in sociology from the University of Toledo, an MS from the Ohio State University, and a doctorate of nursing practice from the University of Toledo. She's been practicing as a nurse practitioner for 15 years, with 13 of those years being in the field of wound management and 8 in vascular medicine. She currently practices at the University of Toledo Medical Center, as well as in multiple outreach sites encompassing ambulatory clinics, long-term care, and acute care centers. Dr. Bauer has developed and oversees a team of advanced practice providers who deliver services within the wound and vascular fields. She's certified as a wound specialist through the American Board of Wound Management and currently serves as both the Director of Wound Services at the University of Toledo in the Division of Vascular, Endovascular, and Wound Surgery, and Program Director at the Fulton County Wound and Hyperbaric Center. She served as a consumer board member for the Association for the Advancement of Wound Care from 2016 to 2018, engaging in multiple committees and initiatives. She's a current nurse board member for the AAWC. She's also an editorial board member for Wound Management and Prevention and Advances in Skin and Wound Care. She also is now returning to become a student again, working on her graduate certificate to have dual certification as an acute care nurse practitioner. So we are very pleased to welcome Dr. Karen Bauer.
Thank you so much, Drs. Lewandowski and Dr. Mitchell. Very honored to be here first and foremost, and extremely excited for you all and what you are currently embarking on. What a journey. Congratulations, first and foremost. You're about to start a journey that will not only be trying at times, but very fun and hopefully rewarding. So congratulations. I'm honored to be here. I was asked to share a little bit tonight, just kind of about what that journey looks like. As I sit back and I think about what would have helped me when I was in your shoes, I hate to admit 15 years ago, which seems like a really long time, I could write a book with advice that I would be sharing with you all. So I will start this by saying that one of the things that we're going to talk about is using your resource, and I want to be a resource for you all. So throughout this, as you're listening and maybe feeling a bit nervous about this summer, know that you will be very well supported and the journey will be worth it. So the fact that you've gotten to where you are already shows some oomph. You obviously rise to a challenge, you want some independence, and you definitely care about your field, your patients, and your practice because you already are where you are, and that deserves being commended. Attributes like these are at the crux of what we do every day, but they don't define us. Starting your clinicals, you're taking that first difficult step toward practicing autonomously as a nurse practitioner, so the time is now. How exciting. To stay true to my nursing mentality that everything relates back to a quote, an adage, or a cliche, I give you my first quote. Everything that you need to know, you will not learn in school. So while the schooling that Drs. Mitchell and Dr. Lewandowski referred to is obviously extremely important, a lot of what you'll get from experience and from learning from your colleagues and one another. So given that first quote, I will give you my top 10 quote-related tips as you start this journey. The first quote, if you fall 7 times, get up 8. Don't stay down. We are resilient. Believe in that. One of the things that makes us really good clinicians is our grit. It's our ability to keep going and keep learning. I personally have not spent a day of my life in the critical care environment, but when COVID called, we showed up in droves as nurses. And as I started my first of many 12-hour ICU shifts in that COVID world, and I was right back to where I felt on that very first day, wanting to vomit in the bathroom, we got up and we did it. Your career will be filled with moments like this, where you feel like you're starting over, you feel like things are new, but we have grit and we are resilient. We push past that. That's what makes that joy of success even sweeter. And for me personally, that's what motivated me to go on with the ACNP Postmasters program. So sometimes those challenging situations where we have to dig deep to find the resilience are what serve us in the future. My second quote, the flower does not think of competing with the flower next to it, it just blooms. Be a good partner. The key to this is not comparing your journey to the journey of your colleagues. One of the skills that I'm still trying to master is being a good partner, not only to my patients and my colleagues, but to myself as well. The expectation for us as nurse practitioners is very high. The key is to calmly hang on to your ideals as a nurse and as a nurse practitioner. Have faith in your unique journey as you define your career, even as you start to doubt yourself. My third quote, knowing a disappointing truth is better than wondering forever. Sometimes the truth is difficult and sometimes we are wrong. Nothing good comes from comfort zones. So I can already see my 20-year-old daughter rolling her eyes as I give you that quote. But to help yourself be a good partner, remember that that first sensation of awkwardness or discomfort will lead to growth. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to not know. We oftentimes don't know what we don't know and therefore don't know what to ask, and that is okay. As new nurse practitioners, you won't always know exactly what you're doing here, but the key is to admit that you don't know, ask the question, and move on. You'll not only gain growth in your own profession, but you'll also gain respect of your peers if you are able to say, I just don't know, and that is okay. My fourth quote is centering around success, and success being the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. Set goals for yourself. Have a goal, but know that it will also change. Oftentimes, I think as nurses and going into this profession, as you gain your wings, we set huge goals for ourselves. Set small goals and let them add up. You got through your first patient, that's a success. You got through your first day, you survived a week, 2 or 3 successes in a row. As you gain experience, which, sticking true to my quotes, is the best teacher, you can then develop a larger and more broad vision for yourself. Where will you be in 3 years? Where will you be in 5? Know what fulfills you and keep an open mind as to what that is. You can define who you are as a nurse practitioner. Do you love to teach? Do you love research? Do you love the business aspect of things? Be true to who you are. Using myself as an example again, I started out and I was always saying, I hate research. I don't want to be a manager and I'm not involved or interested in the business aspect of things. Yet I kept an open mind. I let people guide me, and here I am involved in the business doing research as a manager. So very important to keep an open mind. My fifth quote, a resourceful person can see opportunities when others see only obstacles. Find your resources, turn those challenges into opportunities. There are a lot of more experienced nurse practitioners and other professionals out there that would be happy to have coffee with you, sit down with you, just talk through things. Use your resources. Have your go-to people and build relationships. One of my very hardest lessons in my career was the avoidance of burning bridges. Things will not always go your way, but you never know who will pop up to help you in your future. Don't be afraid to reach out. The example that I use here is when I was a very new nurse practitioner sitting at educational conferences, I saw the people that went up to the podium after speeches, and I thought, wow, that takes a lot of courage. And then in the back of my head, I also thought, oh, I wonder why she would do that. Okay, a couple of years later, I challenged that comfort zone. I went up to the podium, I asked a question. The very first speaker that I asked a question to is somebody that still to this day, 10 years later, guides and mentors me. Don't be afraid to build those resources. My sixth quote, your current safe boundaries were once unknown frontiers. So insert repeating the comfort zone quote. The importance here is to know your role wherever you are. Don't be afraid to ask for specifics. Once you have the specifics, don't be afraid to push the limit a little bit, but always do so in a professional way and without burning those bridges. The example that I give here is when I started at UT about 9 years ago. As a nurse practitioner, I was not allowed to assess even lower extremity wounds because that was considered vascular. Fast forward 9 years and we have an APP or nurse practitioner-led vascular service within the hospital. Don't be afraid to know your role and go ahead and challenge that when you feel you're ready. My seventh quote, play by the rules, but be ferocious. Very similar to my last one. Know your business. Tidbits of wisdom like be careful before you sign a non-compete agreement. Don't be afraid to negotiate a good salary, but also be prepared to explain how you will earn it. Make sure you understand what an RVU is and learn how to bill and document well are all things that I wish I would have had the courage to ask when I first started. I was apprehensive, nervous, and at times absolutely terrified, and therefore just went forward. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. My eighth quote, the only person you are destined to become is the person that you decide to be. So again, challenge your comfort zones. Don't compare yourself to your colleagues or the people next to you, and be a liaison. As a nurse practitioner, you are going to be asked to play all of the roles that you've learned about thus far. Clinician, advocate, leader, communicator, team member, possibly educator, possibly researcher, or even administrator. One of the finest lines to walk as a nurse practitioner is that within our profession between being a liaison and a facilitator and being a provider. You'll be asked to hold on to your ideals as a nurse while functioning in a medical model where you will also be expected to have the clinical knowledge and expertise to stand alongside your physician, physician assistant, and resident counterparts and hold your own with regard to technical skill and medical knowledge. That can be challenging. It will be a challenge to maintain your collegial relationships with your nursing colleagues while playing the role of provider. One of the things that I have seen nurse practitioners struggle heavily with, especially during their first year, is walking that line and finding that balance. Learning, especially when you're self-conscious, to balance the role of nurse with provider can be difficult. Be a nurse and a provider. They are not mutually exclusive. My ninth quote, deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. And this is a skill that I think all of us are still learning throughout our careers. I know that I definitely am. Delegation is a crucial skill. Doing so with a smile on your face can be even more challenging. This is a skill that, as oftentimes nurses, we get into wanting to do everything for everybody. Learning the art of delegation is a really important thing. And the last quote that I want to leave you with, which I think looking back is probably the one that has been most meaningful and would be most crucial as you embark on this new journey with your clinicals, is that grace means all of your mistakes now serve a purpose instead of serving shame. Grace. Every nurse practitioner that I have mentored, trained, or worked alongside has struggled heavily for the first year and for that first year during clinicals because you're embarking on something that is completely foreign to you. That is okay. That's what leads to the perseverance and resilience within ourselves and makes us that much stronger as clinicians. Give yourself grace. Give yourself the grace that you give your patients. Give yourself the grace that you give your family. Give each other grace. Embarking on that new journey can be extremely scary, but in 2 years, when you look back and you look at the amount of knowledge and skill that you have accumulated, as long as you keep pushing yourself, you will be absolutely amazed by yourself. You can do this. Give yourself grace. And when you can't find that grace within yourself, reach back to these quotes and reach out to that network or those people that you have decided are your people so that they can replenish your grace. You deserve it. You can do it. And I promise that when you look back, it will be with a huge smile on your face. So as you embark on some of those more difficult and challenging days, take it from somebody who has not only been doing this for 15 years, but is choosing to go back and start all over and do it again. It will be worth it, and you can do it. How exciting. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Dr. Bauer, for your sage advice. At this time, I had hoped to introduce Dr. Tanya Schmidt, Interim Program Director of our Advanced Practice Program and DNP Program Director, but unfortunately, she's ill today. She did, however, prepare a brief message that I would like to share with you now on her behalf. Students, as you begin your transition into advanced practice, remember it is essential to consider the significance of the white coat, but never forget your commitment to the profession of nursing and improving the human condition. The white coat not only indicates a change in status, but also signifies expanding your scope of practice to include a patient-centric approach to healthcare delivery. Wearing a white coat is a symbol not only of your commitment to higher education, it also illustrates your dedication to nursing as a profession and the importance of developing a caring, respectful, trusting partnership with patients and collaborating partners. As we could not conduct the ceremony in person, we asked each of our students to send us a video of their own special cloaking moment. Students either chose to cloak themselves or asked someone special to cloak them. I think you will enjoy this video that shows each of our students in their special moments. We will then come together for the ceremony reciting of the Nightingale Pledge. So students, please have that pledge ready so you have it to refer to when we get to that part. All right, let's begin the video.
I love seeing the special moments of each of our new students who really made the cloaking ceremony their own. It's wonderful to see such supportive family members and friends. Although I didn't get to shake the hands of each of you as you come across the stage to have a more traditional white coat ceremony, this is kind of a pretty special kind too. I want to take a moment to personally congratulate you and say to each one of you, welcome to your role as a new advanced practice nurse. Let's do a virtual applause and celebration for all of our APRN students. There were cheering fets in here. That's great. Next, we're going to do a ceremonial reciting of the Nightingale Pledge. The reciting of the Nightingale Pledge has been an honored tradition for nurses since 1893. Each of you hopefully have your copy with you now. You most likely recited this pledge as you began your career as a nurse. This evening, we ask you to recommit to the values and challenges this pledge represents as you embark on clinical education for your APRN role. So students, please turn your cameras on and keep your microphones muted. I'm going to give you all a moment to turn on your cameras so that we can have a group photo here and group experience, all reciting the Nightingale Pledge together. So keep going. A few of you have your cameras on. I'll give you a few more minutes. There are some other people who have their cameras ready to go. Oh, there we go. Anyone else ready to turn your camera on? Up. Okay, keep getting a few more. That's great. All right. You ready? You have your pledge in hand to read along with me. As I read the Nightingale Pledge, please recite it with me. I solemnly promise to practice nursing to the best of my ability and to live my life with integrity. I will strive for excellence using professional nursing standards and the ANA Code of Ethics as guides. I will endeavor to use my intellect, spirit, and knowledge in providing non-judgmental, compassionate, and quality care to all I serve. I accept the responsibility of this important work and embrace a journey of constant learning and growth. I will work collaboratively to protect and promote the health and safety of individuals, communities, and society. I will do all in my power to maintain and elevate the art and science of nursing, respectful of the contributions of nurses who have come before me. Today, I proudly affirm my commitment to this wonderful profession. Yay! In closing, we know that the continued journey you've embarked on will require dedication, effort, and resilience. Dr. Bauer gave you a lot of great advice here this evening, and also a lot of encouragement of the grit and endurance and excitement and passion and enthusiasm that becoming an APRN entails. You have with you, either physically or in spirit, family, friends, and significant others who will be with you here to support you as you pursue the final stages of your goal to become an advanced practice nurse. The faculty, staff, and I are also here to assist you, whether virtually or in person. We're with you and we'll be cheering you on. We know that you all have a bright future. So congratulations once again to each and every one of you who worked hard to make it to this point in your careers and are now embarking on this new clinical role. Thank you all for joining us this evening. It's truly a day of celebration and new beginnings and new potential. So have a great evening and go Rocket Nursing. Thank you. Have a great evening.